What is up, everyone? It's Jinxed here. We are all excited about the TeamfightTactics mid-set update, or what we're all referring to as set 3.5. Some old champions are going out. We have some new ones coming in, including Riven, Teemo, and Viktor. Now, I've had the pleasure of trying this set out on the public beta. Unfortunately, there are constant, and not unfortunately, it's a good thing, there's constant balance changes going on right now. So I can't give you a specific guide just yet until the patches kind of settle. So for now and for today's video, what I'm going to be discussing is each individual new champion and what I believe to be their optimized builds after having tested them out. This will include items, positioning, and how we can utilize them best. Let's just jump in. Before we get started, I just want to remind you, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch, link in the description below. And if you found any of this insightful or you just like listening to my voice, make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell just so you know when my next video goes live. Help me help you. But anyways, look at all these champions, all right? We got our 1 cost over here in allowing Nocturne, then our 2 cost Kogmaw, Zed, Nautilus, our 3 cost followed up by Bard, Cassiopeia, Vayne. Then the 4 costs. Here we go, Riven, Teemo, Viktor, Gnar, and the big boys and girls, Urgot and Janna. All right, now we're going to be taking a look at basically the items and how I think we can utilize them best. The only ones that I haven't really tried a lot is the Kogmaw. Everything else I got to test and see other people play them. But if you have a fun suggestion or a good itemization that you got to try that I don't mention in this video, please let me know what you came up with in the comments below. First up is Illaoi, our 1 cost brawler. Great tanky unit as she steals stats every time she ults, the magic resistance and the physical resistances. Now, there have been theories going around of 3-starring this unit, and I got to try it. I got to 3-star Illaoi. It honestly wasn't that special. I would say it's the equivalent of 3-starring Leona, 3-starring Malphite. They just do their job, sit there, soak up a lot of damage, don't do much damage in return. Therefore, we don't really need to itemize this unit, as 3-starring isn't going to happen that often, and this unit will always get replaced later on for the Gnar. Up next, we have Nocturne, and immediately all of you are thinking, oh no, Blender is back. No, the ultimate is completely different. The 3rd auto no longer is a swipe and a heal. It's just a single target fear, 2-second fear. Same thing, 3-starring this unit does not increase the fear duration, just the damage and not by a whole lot. So again, I don't see a lot of point into 3-starring this unit. As far as itemization and utility, the only thing I see him useful for is trying to get an early battle cast synergy, maybe with Cassiopeia, or trying to get an infiltrator synergy early on with our Zed. Now, as far as items go, we can just keep it simple. Frozen Heart is always good on infiltrators, so an early Frozen Heart on the Nocturne will shut down that backline. Now, as far as Kogmaw goes, his ultimate is pretty good, but because it's percent max health as magic damage, it does get countered by things like Dragon Claw or Mystic, making Kogmaw not as effective in those cases. So the way I see Kogmaw is just an easier way to get red buff online now, whereas before when you would have the Lucian, you would either have to find the Graves or the Israel to get red buff blaster proc online. But now you can do it either by finding one of these 3. So just an easier way to get this red buff online early on by adding in another blaster. Nautilus is such a great addition, as now we have early game crowd control. Before it was really just a blitzcrank. Our tanky units, Shen, Mordekaiser, Jace, good beefy units, but we're lacking the crowd control, and now we're given that in Nautilus. As far as items go, we can just keep it simple with Guardian Angel, Ionic Spark. He can be a great holder of these items, and then we can transfer these on later to, say, a 4 cost or 5 cost carry. Now, in terms of positioning, what's key with Nautilus is you want to position where their front line is clumped. So let's say they have a standalone Shen over here and a bunch of frontline units clumped up over here. Gnar, Jace, whatever, they have 3-4 units, Vi. Then you want to put them on this side. Make sure you put where enemy units are clumped up, as he does stun the unit he hits and adjacent enemies. Now, Zed is such a cool design. Every third auto attack, he steals 25% attack damage. So let's think about that. The longer Zed lives, the more attack damage he gets. The faster he can attack, the more attack damage he gets. So when we put those together in items, we come up with Rage Blade, Bloodthirster, and then a tanky item like Bramble Vest or Guardian Angel. Let's talk about that. So Rage Blade scales up his attack speed, meaning he can steal more and more attack damage each time. Bloodthirster, because he's scaling, getting more and more attack damage, Bloodthirster will get increased value as the fight goes on, healing more and more with each auto. And then we just want him to live long enough so that he has that ability to steal more than once or twice. So that's where the Bramble Vest or an item like Guardian Angel will come in. Now, Bard is such an interesting case. All he does is every time he reaches full mana by auto-attacking, he puts a meep on your bench, and they all go on the same bench slot, by the way, if you are wondering. They don't take up multiple bench slots. It's just one bench. Meeps go on over and over. You can sell them to get 1 experience per meep. And so the way he's been utilized from what I've seen is if you get him early on, and you have a strong board that can support throwing in a dead unit, so to say, then go ahead and do that and you can start getting that experience. Something else that's being used right now is Bard works during creep rounds. And I'm sure that's being looked at. That might get patched where he can no longer produce meeps, say during Krugs or during Wolves. But that's something that's being used as right now, where you can just throw in, if you have a Bard in your shop, throw it in during the creep round and sell it. No problem, you got a few meeps. In terms of items, there's really only 2, Spear of Shojin and Runon. So as soon as that first ultimate come off, he starts proccing the Spear of Shojin, and then same thing, Runon will apply to the Spear of Shojin, counting as 2 auto attacks. So that's the best way you can utilize the Bard. Now what's great about these items, because Bard is a Mystic, you can use them early on for 2 Mystic, which isn't that impactful, but anyways, later on you can transfer this onto Lulu, as he's a great item holder of the exact same items. Now, Bane is a monster this set. As I'm making this video, she recently just got hit with a nerf with a -5 AD. We're gonna have to keep a track on her. What's great about Bane is that every time she tumbles, she drops aggro. So what I've realized with this is that she doesn't really need a defensive item, because as long as she's not getting one shot, she will always get that tumble off, reset aggro, and then she's not getting hit, right? So what we can look to do is something like Rage Blade, and then a damage item like Infinity Edge or Death Blade. Let's go with the Death Blade, as she does survive for a very long time. And then a healing item. Now you can get this either through the Celestial buff. If you have Celestial buff, I would recommend another damage item like Infinity Edge. If not, then look to go that Bloodthirster. Because she's dropping aggro, she can always heal back that health. So someone targets her, she goes to half health, drops aggro, reheals to full, targets her, drops, reheals to full, so on and so forth, right? Stacking items are the best. Rage Blade, Death Blade, because she's always the last unit to die. The only way she is like a strong counter to her is, say, a perfect Aurelia with double Infinity Edge Last Whisper that can one-shot her, and she doesn't have a chance to reset, drop that aggro, and get going again. Now we get to the big leagues. Our first 4-cost unit, Gnar, is back. This unit is a monster. It's just way too strong right now. When he transforms too much HP, he just doesn't die. His ultimate is incredible. So right now we're leaning more towards the itemization of Guardian Angel, Rage Blade, Giant Slayer. So a little bit more offensive, right? Because he has the natural tanky stats. If those numbers do get touched a bit, we can look to go the defensive route with Frozen Heart, Bramble Vest, Dragon Claw. Now a quick tip on positioning. Gnar is a ranged unit, so if you are worried about his ultimate going off, or when Gnar is just a 1-star unit, you can put him in the second row and put other tanky units in the front. That way you're allowing the Gnar to go off naturally by his own auto attacks. But once you have, say, a Guardian Angel or a defensive item on him alongside with him being 2-starred, feel free to frontline him. Frozen Heart is especially great on him, as he does usually jump all the way to the backline and slowing them down tremendously. Up next, we have Riven. Again, I think such great design here. Every time she ults, she gets this shield, does damage, and every time it's her third time doing this, she sends out a wave of damage, kind of just like in League of Legends. Now, she did recently just get a buff giving her a bigger shield, which personally I'm a little worried it might be too strong. I personally see this unit as a damage unit. All we need to do is make sure she's ulting over and over to get that shield. As long as she's getting that shield, her damage will come naturally. So the best ways to get off her ult, and the build that I've tried and had a lot of success with, is QSS and blue buff, which is over here. Okay, so the only thing that shuts Riven down is early crowd control, allowing her not to get her ultimate off. With blue buff, this every time she ults, it sets her mana at 20. She's already at 25 mana. So with blue buff, it's just one auto, she's ulting, right? I would prioritize QSS first and then frontline this unit, because even without the blue buff, she's taking damage, gaining mana. So with the QSS, she's able to ult really quick because you don't need to worry about her getting crowd controlled. Then this feels like the icing on the cake. Now after this is where we can go a little bit more damage focused. We can look at the Rabadon's death cap. I think this is best in slot right now. It makes her a monster. Up next, we have Teemo, so cute and actually not so troll. The best way to utilize him is through his ultimate, not through his auto attacks. He is a sniper, so first impression might be auto attack damage, but his ultimate slows down people a lot. So when melee units need to re-aggro, if they get hit by a mushroom, it's literally like they're stuck in quicksand. They cannot move, and we need to get as many of those mushrooms out as quickly as possible. That's why we go for the Rage Blade Spear of Shojin combo. Now, if you do not need a defensive item, there's not that many backline threats, feel free to remove this trap claw and go all in on the Runon, getting maximum mushrooms. Next up is Viktor. I love sorcerers, so I love Viktor. This unit is literally a better version of Vel'Koz. He did just get hit with a slight nerf, but still a very, very strong unit. We're looking to go all in on the damage here. Blue buff, Rabadon's death cap, and Jeweled Gauntlet. If you do need a defensive item on him like Guardian Angel, we're dropping the Jeweled Gauntlet for the GA. Now, another option instead of the blue buff, if you get the chance, is the Star Guardian buff. Okay. And the way we're utilizing him is exactly like Vel'Koz, where he could fit in perfectly into Star Guardian build, and Viktor is just our fourth sorcerer. Here we go. So this is without their Star Guardian spat. Viktor gets played as the fourth sorcerer, and with the Star Guardian spat, you can just drop the Zoe and add in anything better. Now, as far as positioning for Viktor, it's not that important because he will always ult a line between the two farthest enemies, no matter where Viktor is on the board. So just make sure you're placing him in the safest spot that you can. Surround him by units so he can get blitz pulled. Make sure he's well protected by infiltrators as well if you need to. Now we're on to the big leagues. It's Urgot time, baby. Every time this unit ults, whoever it grabs dies, no matter what. If they have a Guardian Angel, dead. Okay, here's what we've learned so far though. The only counter to Urgot right now is Trap Claw. If he hits a unit that has Trap Claw, boom, negated. QSS doesn't stop this either. So QSS GA doesn't help you from Urgot. Now, in terms of positioning and how we can itemize Urgot best, I found out that if you put Guardian Angel on Urgot, so the only thing that stops Urgot's ult is if he's dying during the animation as they're getting pulled in. But with Guardian Angel, even if he dies, that animation finishes. So I think this is probably the most important item, core, on Urgot. Now, quickly touching on positioning, he will always ult the unit that is his farthest auto attack range. So what I've discovered is if they have carries in the corner, if you put your Urgot here or here, it will hit those units. So if you're looking for corner carries, it goes here or here. Now, what about Xayah when they put their units in this corner or this corner? Maybe Jinxes, they're trying to avoid blitz hooks or trying to be smart or something. Well, then you move Urgot 1 back, okay? So if he's in this tile, he's going to be ulting there. If he's in this tile, he's going to be ulting that unit. That's how you get to control which units he ults. As far as if it's better to frontline or backline him, if you want to get successive ults off, it is better to backline, as that will keep him alive longer. But if there's just one threat you need to get out of the way first thing, then go ahead and frontline so you can get that carry and get the job done. If you do go ahead and build defensive items, is how you will allow him to be frontline and get multiple ults off. Otherwise, a really great combination I've seen is making Urgot a Star Guardian and surrounding him by 6. I've seen, I think, 9 Star Guardians as well being done. It's bonkers. So just surround him with Star Guardians, backline him, and he's getting his ultimate off over and over and over. Just hook, line, and sinker every single time. And finally, we have Janna, such an interesting champion. She has a unique trait, Paragon. I'm going to simplify this for you. All it does is it converts auto attacks only, basic attacks, from Star Guardians to true damage. So Star Guardians auto attacks are now doing true damage when Janna is on the field. And if you're not a Star Guardian, it converts your auto attacks to magic damage. So the best way to utilize her isn't actually with Star Guardians. It's in the cases when you have, let's say, a sniper build and you're getting countered by Bramble Vest, Vanguards, throwing the Janna, and now their auto attacks are doing magic damage. With that being said, it's not wrong at all to use her in Star Guardians, as she's a great Star Guardian herself. And since the auto attacks of Star Guardians don't matter anyways, it can't hurt to turn them into true damage. It's their ultimates that are getting the most value. Now for positioning, you want to think of this as Nami in set 1 or as Miss Fortune that just recently got removed. So we're always going to be cornering this unit because her tornadoes do go out the same way that Miss Fortune ults goes out, okay? And in terms of her allies, you want to make sure that they're beside her so that the tornadoes do hit her ally. If Bane is here, it's not likely that these tornadoes are going to hit her. So if you really want to guarantee it, you can do something like this or like this, but also right beside her usually works. And in terms of items, when we think of Nami, Miss Fortune, Morello comes to mind, so it's the same thing with the Janna. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys had fun as much as I did. I love it when my brain gets to thinking and trying out all this new stuff. Anyways, thank you so much for watching all the way up to this point. I'll see you in the next one.